Hi you guys, this is Nicole from My Carolina Garden. Today is a wonderful day because we're going to go through the garden and look at all the things that are blooming for July. It is early in the morning right now and it is a frigid 82 degrees. Ooh, of course, that's a joke. We are at the time of year where it barely cools down at night. So I'm filming as early as possible so that I don't melt throughout this video. But again, since today's a great day, we're not going to complain. We're not going to do garden maintenance. We're just going to look at all the gloriousness that is in the garden. However, that doesn't mean that we're not going to complain a little bit about the temperature or about the lack of rain, because both of those things play so huge into how my flowers are looking. Let's get going. As we start in my backyard by my rock garden, I have a lot of things in colorful bloom, and this plant is one of them. I mistakenly thought that it was something that my cousin had given to me in part of my garden share, but when I used my plant app to find out what exactly it was, it turns out no. It seems like it's one of those kind of weeds that like wetlands or marshy areas or something. So I think somehow it germinated in my yard, and it's called loose strife. Something very weird like that. Now, there's tons of bee activity on it. That part's nice. The coloring of it is fabulous, but it seems like maybe it's not a beneficial plant to have, so I'm gonna have to look into it more. But loose strife. This direction, this Dianthus is still looking amazing from the springtime. The color never dulled out. Some Dianthus goes through periods where the flowers totally fade out and then they come back again for another flush. That is not the case for it. So I'm still thrilled to have it. It's low to the ground. You can still see my beautiful rock behind it because, you know, it is a rock garden, so I don't want them to be totally hidden. So that's the Dianthus. My speedwell looking a little crazy. As it's growing, it kind of gets a little wonky. Some of the blue purple petals fall off and you have like wackadoozicalness happening. I don't know. I'm not sure if speedwell needs to be clipped in order to have it come back for a second flush. So I'm gonna figure that out, but for now, we're just enjoying the wackiness that it is. From this spot here, you can see my blanket flowers, which have to be deadheaded all the time for me. I have a lot of them, therefore I get a lot of seeds and they just blow all over the place and reseed themselves. This bunch right here is doing pretty well. It's staying pretty solid, so no complaints about it. My gorgeous head planter with her little rosette cascading sedum, love her, no complaints. The Dalia, which I find to just be an amazing looking flower, is also looking fabulous. That one has been blooming for quite some time. I am right on the line of where dahlias are perennial. I am in zone 8B in southeastern North Carolina. And another thing I want to point out is my pink twister lanai verbena. That was a spring purchase. It was blooming back then, so March or April timeframe, and it has been going nonstop. It is a creeping verbena, so it's staying on the ground and just shooting out, and it looks awesome, so I cannot complain. Some of the other things that are happening here in my rock garden are, well, loads of coneflowers. I have echinacea, I have rudbeckia. Both things are big and prominent at this time. I have said before that my garden gets very sunshiny in the summer because of the rudbeckia and the sunshine ligustrum shrub that sits in the back middle of the garden. So let's check out some sunshine. So as we look to the back of the garden, that's the sunshine ligustrum, and then I have the rudbeckia on either side of it, but I also have another clump of it right here in the front. And so it is tall, and I do like to keep separating it yearly and giving it to other people because it is kind of too tall for the rock garden, in my opinion. So whether or not I move it out of here completely is a different story because I just don't know. But of course, my rocks are my amazing anchor point of this garden, and I love them. And then back here, some more coneflowers, because we always see my red salsa sombrero. I have some Cheyenne Spirit. So they're the mixed color echinacea with the different shades of pink, white, kind of sunset tones. So I have those back there, and I love that. Coneflowers are amazing in my opinion. My phlox, of course, is not flowering anymore because that's a spring bloomer, but I do have other Dianthus right here that is, as long as this guy gets deadheaded, we keep getting these blooms coming back. So just a second example of Dianthus over here blooming. A couple of my most favorite plants for summer are Hibiscus and Canna Lilies. So this Hibiscus is a hardy style, so I believe it's hardy to zone 4, and I am going to do a spotlight video on Hibiscus because I just love it so much. This is the Starry Night, so you can really appreciate the dark colored foliage with the lighter colored huge flowers. It's the size of the flowers you can see are bigger than my hand. That is what's so amazing. Lots and lots of blooms happen on these plants. You can see all the buds I still have ready to go. So love me some hardy hibiscus. And then, excuse me, bird, this canna lily right here with the awesome colored variegated foliage. I love it. I talk about it all the time. That was a gift, or it wasn't a gift, it was a garden share, but it was given to me, so I love having these things here. And then we get real close to my banana trees as we head in this direction. So we were just on that side of the banana trees to see those canna lilies, but something I haven't shown you in a while, and I don't even know why, honestly, is this arrangement right here that has the purple heart cascading out of a huge flower pot. It has made the purple heart, which is blooming, so it gets to be part of this video. See the little tiny purple flowers everywhere? It makes the purple heart look like a ball. And then I have the cordyline out of the center of it. I love it. I have 2 pots that are identical, and it just blows my mind how awesome the purple heart does here. It is perennial for me in this zone. And I know, like my mom, for example, doesn't really love it. I just think this is so stunning. So, purple heart. Since it's morning time and both of these babies are open and looking good, let me point out these 2 bloomers. So here's another canna lily in yellow, and this is probably the Kenova style. It's nothing, you know, overly exotic or fancy, but the yellow is just a perfect combination here with my purslane. Now the purslane is like a tender perennial for me. This one in particular I did overwinter in the greenhouse. This is the type of plant though that drops its seeds into the ground and they somehow stay protected enough that you'll see little poofs of the purslane come back again. But it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like the watery type stems on it. Feels succulent, like that type of a thing. But these close up at night and then burst open again in the morning. So the purslane here and the canna lilies over here. We're talking about things that are blooming, and I have so much gloriousness to show you on both sides of the pathway as we head down. Hopefully you can see some of the color that's just all around the area and in the background in particular. So I want to get to all of it because July is an amazing time for my poolside gardens. When we're up here in the front, this is the Fiesta hibiscus, and honestly, a bunch of these were open, wide open yesterday, and I thought, oh great, I'm gonna get to show you the Fiesta hibiscus wide open. These guys are a little closed up. Not sure if it's because it's early in the morning or if they're just being camera shy right now, but the Fiesta hibiscus is my favorite hibiscus style. Directly across the pathway from the Fiesta hibiscus are my other canna lilies with the orange blooms. This one is actually in bloom while this one's just budding. You can see how tall this is already, and it is still going to put more height on it as the summer continues. Over here I have more canna lilies. These are a dwarf Kenova, so these do not get that tall, these coral ones. So I have some of those here, red here. Oop, there's a little tiny lizard right, oop, and I just scared him. on the leaf of a tropical hibiscus that I have in a pot. The tropical hibiscus blooms red. There are lots of red blooms to the other side, facing more to the sun because we're on the shadier side of it. And then I know you can't even see it, but I have a canna lily here with the variegated leaves. This is the Bengal tiger. This one's different than the one we just saw with the plain green leaves, and that one's blooming orange up above our heads. So we're gonna have to just get a different viewpoint so we can see some of that too. We're in a little bit of a tricksy spot right here with the sun coming up over the shed behind me, but this is the red tropical hibiscus just from the pool side, so you can see the blooms a little bit better. And then in my waterfall, I have the amazing mandevilla that is doing awesomely. I've said before, this plant is so heat and drought tolerant. It has barely rained. Let's see, I've been home from vacation for a week already. It has not rained one time for me since I've been home. And the mandevilla up here are not part of my irrigation system. They're still vibrant. They are blooming profusely. They are amazing. So I love having the mandevilla in my garden. Behind me, I'm gonna show you some caladiums. They're looking pretty good. I don't know that you consider that in bloom, but since the foliage is so gorgeous and it's adding pops of color to the garden right now, I'm including them. So back to the boardwalk area again. The caladiums, I had shown you when I first got back from my Scotland trip that a couple of the flowers had like what looked like burn holes in them, and I really just wasn't sure if that was a normal part of caladium life or if they were getting too much sun. I just simply clipped those off, and well, at least most of them. I left ones that still looked, you know, pretty good overall. And everything looks really healthy. So I'm hoping that the plant itself is healthy and that the little burn holes that you do get on a leaf like this one here, I'm hoping that's just part of something normal and you clip them off. Similarly, I want to say with a canna lily or a banana tree or something like that, when those leaves have a problem or get messed up, you can clip those off, but the plant is perfectly fine. So I'm hoping it's the same situation here. But the caladiums, oh, add that touch of tropical look and awesome color that I absolutely love in this area. So keeping the tripod in the exact same spot and just raising the lens of the camera a little bit so you can get a higher view. This over here is another gorgeous, gorgeous area. These are the Bengal tiger canna lilies again. You can see how much height these guys are getting on them. These were brand new for me last year. I started out with 2 tiny little plants, but over time you get to divide these guys up. I have been getting them to multiply through their roots, their rhizome roots, and so they do make seeds as well, but planting the seeds has not been part of my game. So I have a lot of them here. Some of them I don't even know if you can see in this shot, but I have them here that they're just budded up. Glorious, glorious. So the canna lilies here, but then just beyond the canna lilies, you see that awesome pink? That is the oleander. This oleander for me is in the shape of a tree, purchased it that way. Absolutely adore it. It's plentiful with its blooms and it just adds more awesome vibrant color that I can see from my whole yard. So I look out my back patio doors, that is what I can see. This orange here and the magenta bright pink of the oleander. Now, that's not to overlook, I have a perennial hibiscus that is the Luna Rose, just a bit lower than the oleander there, also with the huge magenta blooms, and that just adds even more punch to that area. Now as we continue to look at my pathway over here, of course these beautiful elephant ears, they're not something that's blooming, but it just adds to that tropical feel back here as well. Let's look up a bit and we can see more caladiums on the ground there. That's my huge Dipladenia pot, which I adore back there. It's just canna lilies, it's the oleander, it's all the things we've just been talking about, all add to a beautiful, magical feel. Looking at the poolside garden from the shed area, this right here is the Dragon's Breath Sosia that had reseeded in another pot, so I just added it in there the other day. So as we come up here, we have the Copper King perennial hibiscus here. Looks a lot like the Starry Night with the foliage color and the flower color. And then again, you can just see all the beautiful things that we were just looking at from the backside, including those mandevilla inside the waterfall right there. Coming away from the poolside area, my tiger lilies are just magnificent. Now I have lost some blooms due to wind. As you saw in my last video, it was very, very windy here. So I have some empty spots from that, but still plenty of blooms. Whereas my poor little stargazer lilies, which are my absolute favorite and smell amazing, every petal just blew off. So here we go in this direction though, because I have a lot more that's blooming to show you. Let's see, do I have one thing in particular? Ah, shoot, it's already gone. All right, we'll save that one for another day. My beautiful blue bench holds all sorts of different flower pots. However I feel like changing them up, I just do it, and the bench is an awesome place to show them off. This arrangement right here with this Dianthus, this is the same one we very first started the tour with in the rock garden. Simply separated those up as they've gotten bigger, and it's amazing. And not for nothing, but this navy blue pot with this vibrant color I also think is just gorgeous. So this is an ornamental pepper plant with the purple. Cool, just everything is cool. Here's another, oh goodness gracious, I have to put my muscles on. This is another one of those dragon's breath Solosias that we planted up the other day. So it's taken immediately, it looks really, really good. And boom. I have some mums that are sitting out. They were, again, leftovers from the fall, but if I can help them to live in my garden, I'm going to keep them for as long as possible. Now, just beside the bench, let me get up high and show you something else. Okay, this is my Texas Red Star Hardy Hibiscus. It is amazing, except for the fact that the blooms are all the way up at the top, and I'm a short person. This has to be 8 or 9 feet tall, and can you see those blossoms up there? A little bit of a different look to other perennial hibiscus that we have, especially with the leaf shape, even maybe more than the flower shape. This one was super cool though. I put it in the ground in the fall. First time I ever had this style of perennial hibiscus, and I adore it. I love the red. I love how it's peeking up over the fence. I'm not sure if I said it before, but I did not realize how tall it was going to get when I bought it. I just saw Hardy Hibiscus on the tag and purchased it. Well, I'm glad I put it along the fence and there was nothing else around it because it obviously needed this height to show off. Right next to the Hardy Hibiscus, I have this Illusion Dahlia. Now the Illusion Dahlia has a unique style, and I know that there are different names for all the different styles of dahlias, but this one I love with the dark colored foliage. And I have one up in the front that's yellow flowers with this dark foliage that I'm going to show you as well. I just adore dahlias. I know that the Dianthus is something that I do talk about a lot. This is the pretty poppers. The thing though with Dianthus is you do see fading out of the flower, so you don't have plentiful blooms all the time. But here is an example of a flower where you do see greatness and blooms and prettiness all the time. So this is the begonia. The begonia, once it starts blooming, just doesn't ever stop. This pot looks outstanding. I love it so much, and I also transferred a few of those begonias into a smaller pot right there as well, and I love it. You look outside and you see an amazing pop of color over here with the begonias. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into the front yard where my Peninsula Garden is, and one of the anchors of my Peninsula Garden is my Crepe Myrtle tree. So the Crepe Myrtle is a summer blooming shrub or tree depending on how you keep it going, and I have obviously pink flowers on this one, but this is when it is really starting to look its best, and this is when people drive by and say, ooh, what is that? That looks so awesome. So this is the Crepe Myrtle over here, and let's see what's blooming inside the Peninsula Garden. I have so many things blooming inside the Peninsula Garden, so let's just see what all we can point out here. The purple is that Marcus Salvia, still going strong. I do deadhead the snippets that have already expired. These mums, I don't know what to say about that. Some of them are still vibrant in color. These ones are beginning to fade out, so they'll have to be deadheaded, and they will re-bloom in the fall. I have my echinacea right here, is starting to look very raggedy. It's been blooming for a bit though. I can't complain about it too much, although I do have to treat it for some black spot and things like that. My black-eyed Susans, again, they start to steal the show. They look amazing. And just flipping around here, right beside the black-eyed Susans, you might be able to see a little purple flower right there. It's the balloon flower, and it is going to come back for a second flush. It was already big and plentiful before. I deadhead all of that, and now it is starting to rebloom again. When you look from this aspect of the garden, the mums and the Rudbeckia, and even more of the coneflowers, the echinacea here, then I have the red salsa sombrero coneflowers there as well. So again, they're starting to fade out a bit. They've been going for a while. When you pop over to this section though, do you see how many blanket flowers I have? Oh my goodness. The Gaillardia blanket flowers, as I said, amazing self-seeders. Luckily, my mom just asked me to bring her some this weekend, and I thought, gee mom, I'm not sure if I have enough. So the blanket flowers are plentiful at this stage. This is more verbena right here. I don't love the purple because I do feel like it kind of gets hidden in the garden, but nevertheless, it's something that is another ground spreading style, and it's in the front. I have some double scoop echinacea here. This is the bubblegum, and then I have a raspberry here. Neither one are doing particularly awesome. And it's sad because coneflowers and echinacea are some of my favorites, but the blanket flower is stealing more of the show over here. It just wants to be everywhere. Let's pop inside the garden though. I still have some pin cushions that are blooming, and I also have some of this Dianthus, a different style Dianthus that has just been blooming nonstop all the way from winter. And the blanket flowers are everywhere. And also these elephant ears. I just don't love this style elephant ear. It's too weedy for me. I was not aggressive enough pulling it out of my garden at the end of the season last year, but this year I will do it differently. Since I am such a tremendous fan of dividing up my perennials and moving them around, this Bengal tiger canna lily is something that I just put in the ground here this year. And all those cannas, of course, were moved from other spots. Let us not overlook the guara that is in here. So this is the Crimson Butterflies guara. It's got pretty flowers and pretty multicolored foliage as well. And I just would like to show you something else as we continue along. More tiger lilies. This is the magnolia tree. But on the other side of the magnolia tree, I got this guara popping up. This must have reseeded from one that I had previously, because I don't even think it's from this one. And I just thought that was crazy. So this one's quite tall, and this is by a kaleidoscope abelia that I think is suffering because the magnolia tree is right here, and I think it's taking some of its water and nutrients. So this baby is gonna have to move. We're still talking about bloomers here, so more tiger lilies. Again, just transplants from other areas. See, all these black things on here are all seeds. So as these drop, they end up making more babies in the ground, and if you let them grow, they will. So right beside that orange, I have these orange cannas. And then right beside that, I have the Joe pieweed. Joe Pyeweed's kind of interesting. It's a little feathery kind of a flower. Not tons of color, but the texture of it is pretty neat. And then my Russian sage in the background there. Just a quickie look at the back of the Peninsula Garden and how that looks. So the Crepe Myrtle, then I just have a little cordyline here. These are two salvias, or these are two lavenders. These are the Elegance purple lavender. And then this is a salvia. This is the black and blue salvia. So everything is looking really good. Then I have some blanket flowers. Of course, I have more blanket flowers. Ah, look at this phlox. This phlox is looking amazing. Phlox is one of my favorite things. And then we are going toward some more of that verbena. Verbena just does really, really well for me here, so. Working our way up to my front entryway, I absolutely love this sweet potato vine. More Dianthus, of course, but this sweet potato vine is just growing amazingly, and I love the purple color of the new growth and what rims some of these leaves. It's time to pop into the shot again, just so I can point out some of the other amazing color that's here by my front door. So these begonias here, these are also the same cane begonias that were in the pot in the backyard that I said just, you know, never die out. They're always putting on a show. Since there are much or so many less of them in this pot, I guess, that is what made them got, my goodness, I can't speak. So many less in a pot has allowed these to get very large. So, oh my goodness, another standout just show looking from the street over here. It looks amazing. My little lime punch hydrangea is making me so happy because it starts out with those white flowers, but then ends up turning into this light pink, and then that's going to keep transforming into darker pink, etc. So I have the hydrangea that's right here, the pink trailing ground cover style verbena that's down at the bottom. Coming around here is the other mystic dahlia. This is the yellow one I was talking about that just adds that bit of sunshine to your life. I love it. So we have that happening. And then this is the lantana that is big, blooming, glorious, pollinator attractor, loving it. And then of course, once again, my favorite Diplodenia in this pot. I adore it. I want to have it there forever. And that is something that just overwinters inside of my house. And then I can put that same pot existing exactly like that right back out here to start the season again once it gets warm enough. Thank you for joining me in July to see what's blooming. These things are all heat and drought tolerant, so keep that in mind if you're looking for items like that. I have full sun gardens, and a lot of things could really struggle with the amount of brutal heat we've been getting and the lack of rainfall. Thank you for watching and enjoying my garden. I love watching other people's garden tours as well. Thank you for the support and the wonderful comments. I appreciate everything so very much. And until next time, happy planting.